With San Francisco still one of the more dominant teams across the National Football League and the trade deadline looming and several clear holes on the roster, there have been several trades floated, including Juan Jennings for Kayvon, as well as trading one of San Francisco's safeties with Malik Mustafa finally returning from his ACL tear. So in this video, we're going to break down those trades as well as the updates on Trey Hendrickson and basically everything new in the trade market. Initially, to start out, we're going to be looking at the most popular trade floated, and that's Juan Jennings for Kayvon Thibodeaux. And initially on the surface, this still makes a lot of sense. Malik Neighbors, the starting wide receiver for the Giants, is out the remainder of the season, and Jennings would be the perfect security blanket for a player like Dart. Meanwhile, Kayvon has been a prime target for San Francisco ever since losing Nick Bosa to an ACL tear for the remainder of the season. The 24-year-old could not only help out the pass rush this season, but if San Francisco is able to continue to unlock something in him, he could be a long-term option. And he has all the prototypical measurements. He's 6'4", weighing 254 pounds, and ran his 40-yard dash in the blistering fast 4.58 seconds, and already in his young NFL career, he has over 21 sacks. On top of all of that, he's 24 years old, so he's yet to enter the prime of his career, meaning this could be an absolute steal for San Francisco. Which now, we need to talk about this deal a little bit more deeply. I don't see it getting done with just a Juan Jennings swap for Kayvon. With that being said, they could make this deal more enticing by including a pick. And even Bleacher Report hinted at this, saying the following: moving Thibodeaux could bring back a quality offensive player and or high draft pick to aid the young quarterback this season or next. And honestly, if San Francisco could get this done for Jennings and a third round pick, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to that. First, it doesn't really jeopardize San Francisco's future, as Thibodeaux is under contract through the 2026 season, so this is a 2-year rental. And with Nick Bosa returning, that could end up being really special for this team. Meanwhile, this year, if San Francisco is able to unlock similar production as his 2023 season, where he had 11.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, that could really be the difference between them pushing for a Super Bowl and not even being a playoff team. And I think John Lynch knows that, and that's why he's been looking into players like Trey Hendrickson, who probably would command an early round pick as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see San Francisco move off a player like Jennings, who's in his last year of his contract anyways, and an early round pick for a high potential defensive end like Thibodeaux. This is especially the case considering you don't know how Nick Bosa will return next year. He could look like a completely different player. And if he does look like a different player, then you have someone like Thibodeaux to rely on, Bryce Huff, and Michael Williams. So if the Giants are willing to trade Kayvon for an early round draft pick as well as a player like Jennings to help out their young quarterback, don't be surprised to see San Francisco jump on that deal. And the Giants might jump on it as well, considering they have other players like Brian Burns and Abdul Carter on the roster. So this type of deal is highly likely, but now we need to talk about some of the other deals floated, with one of the most notable being that Trey Hendrickson deal that I was mentioning. And luckily for us, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler recently did his research about potential deal, having the following to say: yes, the 49ers have been scanning the trade market for pass rush options. I'm told the Niners consider Trey Hendrickson an ideal fit for their defense if the Bengals would part for him for reasonable compensation. But I'm also told Cincinnati has no plans to trade Hendrickson at this time. Despite a 2-4 record, Cincinnati plans to remain all in on this season, and the offense showed signs of life with Joe Flacco on Sunday in Green Bay. In other words, San Francisco, in a story as old as time, wants what they can't have. With that being said, all hope isn't lost, as San Francisco does have some interesting options that they can continue to pursue according to Fowler, with probably my favorite on his list being Jalen Phillips. Unlike the other options on this list, Phillips has a true opportunity to be an absolute steal for San Francisco. The former first-round pick has a sack on the year, but more importantly, already has 17 hurries on the season. That ranks 10th among all NFL players, suggesting the former first-round pick is close to breaking out in a major way. And that would be especially the case in San Francisco's defense with other players like Michael Williams and Bryce Huff to clean up those sacks. The real risk to him comes with his injuries that he sustained. During the 2023 season, for instance, he had an Achilles rupture, then during the 2024 season, he had an ACL tear. With that being said though, when he is healthy, he's an extremely productive player. Already in his NFL career, for instance, he has 24 sacks. On top of that, he's a perfect fit for San Francisco's wide 9 defensive front. He comes in at 6'5", weighing 263 pounds, and has a lightning first step off the line. And he's done a better job at refining his pass rush moves since entering the NFL. And if he does work out for the 49ers this year, they could definitely extend him as he's 26, and if he is able to remain healthy for only a 4th round pick according to many sources, that could be a major steal. And even if San Francisco trades for him and he doesn't do much, or even worse, he gets injured this year, it's not like it's that big of a risk. You're not trading an early round pick for him, and if it does work out, that could help propel you into the playoffs. And honestly, this type of deal makes the most sense for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan right now. Already this season, they've said how they don't want to jeopardize their future, rather they'd be willing to make a trade if it makes sense. And a deal like this definitely makes sense. You're not jeopardizing your future and you're getting a younger player back. Another option I could see Lynch explore that seems likely is trading for a veteran that has been reliable in this league for a later round pick, a player like Arden Key who San Francisco is familiar with. With that being said, these are just some options that make a lot of sense to me, and I wanted to hear what you think San Francisco will do. Do you think they'll make a trade for a player like Hendrickson, or do you think maybe they won't make any trades at all during this defensive end period? Now though, we need to move off the defensive ends and talk about San Francisco's safeties. Specifically, with the return of Malik Mustafa, it has made one of San Francisco's safeties expendable, and that player seems to be Jason Pinnock. In this most recent game, for example, you saw Saleh's selected safety and Siegel rotate with players like Brown and Mustafa. Meanwhile, Pinnock was nowhere to be seen, leaving many to believe his days with San Francisco are numbered, especially given the fact he does have starting experience. Which is why I've seen several trades floated, and the one that makes the most sense to me is the Bills get Jason Pinnock, a 7th round pick, and the 49ers in return get a 6th round pick. With that being said, I do think this will be a 2026 pick rather than a 2027 pick, as San Francisco will want to get more immediate return. And as the trade deadline approaches, it is likely San Francisco could even get more out of Jason Pinnock, potentially a 5th round pick. And I think this trade does seem highly likely. Right now, Saleh is trying to find the player that's going to start next to Mustafa for the foreseeable future. And the only way you can do that is by playing both Brown and Siegel. That leaves basically no playing time left for Pinnock, especially once one of them grab onto the starting role. Those are just some of my thoughts about San Francisco's safeties and a potential trade though right now, and I want to hear your thoughts down below if you think a trade is going to happen at this position, or if you think San Francisco will stay pat. With that being said, there is finally one last trade we need to talk about, and that's San Francisco potentially trading for a replacement for Fred Warner. And while I've seen several people want to see this happen, I don't think it's likely. Not only does Shanahan and Saleh have a lot of faith in Tatum Bethune, the second-year linebacker who should only improve with more playing time, but they also picked up a young rookie in Nick Martin who seems likely to start over any veteran given the fact San Francisco is trying to develop all these young players. So for that reason, it seems highly unlikely San Francisco would trade for a linebacker, especially over a defensive end. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on potential trade scenarios floated so far, which ones are likely, which ones are less likely, and some of my favorites. And I'd like to hear your thoughts overall about the trade scenarios being floated. What are your favorites, and which one do you think San Francisco will pursue? Personally, I hope they pursue the Kayvon trade, especially if they're able to get it done for only Juan Jennings in the 3rd round pick, because not only would that help out this season, but heading into next season, on paper, they would have one of the more dominant pass rushes across the NFL. But now, I want to hear your thoughts about that trade, as well as other trades talked about in this video, and it would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video. If you could go ahead and like and subscribe, it truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.